Coming at you nearly live and direct from the Stephen King state of eternal weirdness and frostbite, we proudly bring to you the mystical duo of all things bizarre and macabre, as they will serve as your guides on a magical mystery tour de la Jolla of creepiness. Welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow with your host, John and Stacey Edwards of ParanormalSideshow.com. Hello and welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow. I'm your host, John Edwards, and joined as always by my lovely wife, Stacey.
Hello.
And we have had a very paranormal past week.
As usual.
I mean, probably a little paranormal than most weeks because I took Stacey to a wrestling show.
Yes, and I actually enjoyed it.
Yes, she had a good time, or at least feigned it the entire time. We took Ariana too. It was a really cool time, and it was Ariana's first WWE Raw live show. So a lot of fun there. And in fact, beforehand was like where the real fun happened.
Exactly.
Ariana was getting her hair done, and Stacey was in the place with Ariana, and
she was getting some pink in her bangs. It was taking forever.
Right. So I'm sitting out in the parking lot, and some of the boys, some of the wrestlers show up, and pretty cool. I jumped out, did a bit of talking. And then I went in and told Stacey and told her where they were eating.
Yeah, that probably wasn't good for them. But I took Ariana because it just turns out the Hardy Boys were eating in Chipotle, a couple doors down. And Ariana loves them.
Right.
So I was like, well, I've got to go in and get a picture. And so I took her in there under the pretense that I was going to get something to eat, even though I really wasn't going. I was just going in to find the Hardy Boys. And I was like the worst person ever. I mean, I went straight out to where they were sitting. Matt was eating. Jeff's on the phone. And I'm like, excuse me, can I get a picture with I was like the fan from hell.
Yeah.
And they were so gracious and so nice about it. And they just let her sit down at the table, and they stopped everything they were doing and smiled and let her have this great picture. And she was just overjoyed.
Yeah.
Like she couldn't even form words.
Awesome moment. And those guys, it's funny because there was times here in the recent past that I was scheduled on shows, main eventing, managing against Matt Hardy. And so there was some things, some history there and stuff. The coolest guys in the world. Absolutely. You can tell why some people, just like billionaires, some billionaires will lose their entire fortune and then they're billionaires again, right? Because some people do it right, and and the Hardys are some of those guys in wrestling that do it right because they're gracious, they care about their fans, they give the fans what they want, and there's a lot of those guys. Obviously, we've chronicled the fact that I was in pro wrestling business for over a decade on television, local television as being the top heel, top bad guy in that territory. And it's cool because it just happens that this happened to Ariana and Stacey at a time when I've really thrown a lot of wrestling on them all at once because there's a New Japan Pro Wrestling. If you don't know about it, you go find out about it because that is the best wrestling in the world. And I just went through this month-long G1 Climax tournament that's all in Japanese. So my lovely wife has been gracious enough to sit through Japanese commentary through
it wasn't bad. It was better than actually signing up for the New Japan Pro Wrestling World, on the all Japanese website, and they have to give you the little PDF explaining what it actually says in English, and you have to kind of. It was crazy. Well, I got it ordered though.
It's very cool, and it's kind of it's awesome because a guy that I had a very instrumental part in his beginnings in the pro wrestling business, Chase Owens, a great friend. I consider him like a brother. But he's in Bullet Club. He's on New Japan Pro Wrestling, and it kind of gets to me a little bit because all the guys that we were with in wrestling in our little corner of the world, I rarely see them. We call it marking out in the business, like when you're being a big fanboy, right? I rarely see them guys not being, they think they're being cool by not just celebrating the fact that Chase is doing so much cool stuff on New Japan. You never see anything, and I'm doing the complete opposite. I'm just and that was never me. People knew me back then. I was a maniac I was the guy in the locker room who would you didn't know, like, hey, how you doing, John? I just completely lost it all the time. And that was me in many ways. But, I changed who I was because in many ways, and I think the paranormal did that to me, honestly, to be gracious, to be loving and caring and like put that positivity out in the world. I think that's what you need. I think when somebody like Chase is doing good, why not just say, wow, this is great. You're doing an awesome job. I really love to see what you're doing, and put that out in the world instead of having to always say something bitter or always be so negative about things or not say anything at all, which is just as bad.
Right.
And, I was thinking a lot about the band I used to be in, Dead Level. I just recently posted something on Facebook just thinking about how amazing we were. Now, we weren't Led Zeppelin or Metallica or anything like that. Not to say we couldn't have been. Right. But we made some amazing music together. And the very thing that tore us apart was that egos, the negativity, the sitting and arguing over things that don't really matter. Right. And, it really, I had this deep thought that brought it all together in me. Whatever shifted in me years ago, like 7 years ago, and I give a lot of that credit to you, was Stacey's always been that way. Stacey's always been, let's be positive about this. Let's find the good in someone rather than the bad. And I wasn't like that. I was raised to really, try to look at the bad first and beware of this person. And I didn't trust people. I had serious trust issues. And I think something beautiful has happened where I have let go of a lot of that. And just like this show, we've been doing this for 7 years. We never are negative about anything, about anybody. We're very respectful of their views, no matter if we agree with them or not. Right. And this might be a little microcosm to talking about what's going on with the world. But, it's one of those things that I personally, I'm so happy to have grown to that point, because life is a lot easier when you are able to be positive and you're not worried about the negative, when you just let that negative go and it's like, oh, hey, that didn't work the way we wanted it to, but we can still go. And I know I've still got a long way to go, but each and every day, little things will pop up. And, I'll drive 3 hours to buy a T-shirt somewhere and it's not there, but I'm okay. Whereas before I would have burned the store down and, held people hostage and, all this stuff. But I give a lot of that credit to Stacey. The funny thing about the wrestling, to go full circle back to the wrestling, is Stacey went to actually see a guy named Finn Balor because Stacey has her little, she has these occasional crushes. It was in wrestling, it was Chris Jericho for years. Let's see.
What do you mean it was?
It still is. It still is.
He's still around.
He's still around. In music, it's Marilyn Manson.
Love Marilyn Manson.
Dave Grohl of the Foo Fighters. Val Kilmer. Young Val Kilmer.
It's like my whole list. You keep that in your head somewhere.
Absolutely. Are you kidding?
Yes, I did go to the wrestling to see Finn Balor and actually to see the Hardy Boys because I liked them. Yeah. Back in the day too, and so after the first match, I was ready to go home. I was like, because it was the Hardy Boys and Finn Balor against some guys that doesn't matter. Right. And I was like, okay, we're done. We can leave now. So
Paul Bettany.
Yes.
Paul Bettany's another one.
That's like a thorn in your side, the Paul Bettany one.
The Paul Bettany one bothers me. That one bothers me just because I'm like, why? I don't
know.
I don't get that one.
I don't know. He just works.
I get a lot of the other ones. I don't get Paul Bettany, I have to admit. And you're the only one in my life that I have the crush on. So it's I can't really think of anything that's anywhere close to it. So okay, so I have Alyssa Milano.
I was waiting for it. I was like,
Do you know any of the other ones though? I mean,
Jennifer Love Hewitt for a while.
Okay, Jennifer Love Hewitt, she's still there. No, that one's not going nowhere.
Basically, any woman with a pretty and kind of unusual face, long dark hair, kind of slender. Yeah. That's pretty much
small.
Yeah, that's kind of short, maybe.
Short, yeah.
That's basically your your thing.
Yeah,
So.
that's why you're short and
And the long dark hair.
And we've been together forever.
Yes.
It's awesome. And plus your body's dynamite, and this podcast can go really off the rails quickly.
We should probably get back to paranormal.
Yeah. It's a good thing we sit across the table from each other, to be honest with you. I'll just let you know, Stacey's like wearing like a crop top this time, and it's
late. I'm going to bed after this.
It's very distracting. So I want to talk about something really strange that happened. This one's really weird.
Okay.
So we recorded this podcast last night. Now we have added some stories to this, and we've added some, updates and some flavor and stuff since the last time we recorded it. But we recorded this podcast at 3:30 in the morning last night. And it was very odd because actually when we were watching, we got this huge clock here where we're, in the recording room here where we're recording. And when we were recording it, I noticed that the hands on this clock were so freaking long that when it got to, what was it, 3 o'clock?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock, it looked like an inverted cross. Well, at the time we were talking about something rather inverted cross-like. Very strange. We were talking about, and this is a story that'll come up later in the show about
something about an exorcist.
Yeah, about an exorcist. Yeah, it'll come up later in the show. But man, I'm telling you, at that time, I was just like, something's not right.
Well, the thing is now you can't unsee it.
Yeah.
Now that you've seen it.
Well, yeah, but this is really creepy when our clock goes to 3 o'clock. And it bothered me that being a paranormal investigator all these years, and you think of the witching hour, right?
Right.
That I never noticed that certain clocks, when it gets to 3 o'clock, look like a freaking inverted cross. That really bothered me.
Leave it to us to buy the clock with the hands that cross over like a cross.
Absolutely. So Stacey goes to edit the show, and it's completely screwed up. The file's corrupted. So she
couldn't even. There was no saving it. No saving it. It was terrible.
Really strange. Very strange. So, as always, I don't know, man, I would like to have a count of how many shows we've had scrapped.
Yeah. Well, normally we just are like, well, I guess we won't do that show.
Yeah.
But this one had such good news.
Yeah, we don't do that on this show. Since we started doing it ourselves.
Well, that's true.
Back when somebody else did it.
Yeah.
we didn't want to screw with it after that.
Right.
But I will say, we started a vlog. So hopefully you guys are seeing that already or subscribing to that. We're really excited about this vlog. We have some other projects going on outside of the podcast, and we thought it'd be a really good idea, as we talked about last week, to start filming some of the weird crap that happens.
Some of our misadventures.
Oh, yeah. Some of the weird stuff that happens, because stuff like the 3 o'clock clock, it always happens. We probably should have filmed that.
We'll get used to it.
Yeah. But, we've had some funny stuff happen already through the vlog. And if you do want to subscribe to that, be sure to go to youtube.com/paranormal sideshow. We're going to try to get one out once a week. We've already got 3 episodes up. Sometimes you'll have more than that, at least one a week. With us, it could be a week and a half. So, I'm not going to force it if something weird doesn't happen, but rest assured, you'll probably get one a week.
They get a video of us sitting on the couch watching football.
Yeah, there you go. That'll be it. But, we just want to chronicle, what goes on. And we have a lot of weird stuff, weirder than, the Johnsons next door. But I'll tell you something fun. I got to tell you something funny. And this is kind of a spoiler for the next vlog, and I apologize for that, but I got to share this with you guys. So on vlog episode,
I think it was 2,
number 2. And by the way, the vlog's called Till Death. It's a working title we're using on some other stuff too, but it's obvious reasons, Till Death. But anyway, we had the dead squirrel, and we talked about the dead squirrel.
We talked about it on the show.
On the last episode. So we did something for the vlog where we had a chalk outline of Clumsy Squirrel. And on our front walk. Well, the funny thing is, the mailman here who walks to the door to door, he had to walk and go around on our front walk the dead squirrel. Yeah,
because the dead squirrel was out there when he delivered the mail the first time.
Right.
So he had to walk around it or step over it at least. I know he saw it.
So now we forgot to get rid of the chalk outline after filming something for the next vlog. And so the mailman had to walk up and put Mel in where he'd seen the dead squirrel. And that's probably stuck in his head, right? Because the little bastard had his arms out. I mean, completely like he just died and fell out of a tree. And and we had the clumsy squirrel chalk outline. It's just funny. You got to wonder because Stacey's outside talking to herself and talking to trees, and
I'm sure the neighbors think I'm a complete lunatic.
Yeah,
because I'm out there all the time. Just
it's like
it's insane.
Look, Lucas. There's that sweet little crazy Tennessee girl again. I believe she's talking to the mushrooms this time. Quit looking at them, Lucille. They'll know you're looking. Yeah, it's pretty funny stuff.
I'm pretty sure people here don't care if you know that they're looking out their windows at you.
Yeah, they don't. It's very, very strange. But we got some really cool stuff lined up this week that we're doing for the vlog. We're going to a UFO hotspot. And who knew, by the way, we're in the Northeast, we're in Maine, and it's a freaking UFO hotspot.
Yeah, who knew?
Yeah, giant UFO hotspot, one of the hottest hotspots of all hottie spots. And so we're going to some of the places where there's actually a list I found of the most likely places to get abducted. So we're going there to try to get abducted. Yeah, we're going to go try to get abducted. Then we found some really hotspot Bigfoot places, and we're going to go try to get
a picture.
Yeah,
of Bigfoot.
So go try to get a picture of Bigfoot. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Yes,
and we will make these fun, and they will be part of the vlog. So the good place to find that stuff is paranormalsideshow.com. That's your place to find out everything Stacey Crush. Facebook.com/Paranormal Sideshow. Crushy Crush. On the Twitter, it's at Sideshow97. Not as many crushes. On Instagram, Hot Crush Damn. It's John and Stacey Edwards. And on YouTube, check it out. Subscribe. Watch the vlog. Love the vlog. It's youtube.com/Paranormal Sideshow. And if you listen on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Play, wherever you may listen, if we're not there, let us know and we will get there. Please hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much. We are totally free of advertising and all that good stuff. So the only way we get anything from you is the love. So give us the love, hit the subscribe and hit the likes and all that stuff, and keep spreading the word to your friends and your enemies and your grandpas and your aunts and your uncles and your second cousins and everyone else. And with that said, I think it's just about time for some paranormal news.
All right, let's get to some news. Okay, so this first story is about something that you just absolutely love.
Clowns?
Artificial intelligence. Yes, about as much as clowns. Artificial intelligence.
Yes, I absolutely love that.
So this is a story about Elon Musk, who actually...
He's a maniac.
Put out an ominous warning on last Friday about artificial intelligence, suggesting that the emerging technology poses an even greater risk to the world than nuclear attack from North Korea.
That's a pretty bold statement.
That is a pretty bold statement. So Elon Musk, he's actually a longtime critic of artificial intelligence, but he has his own company. It's called OpenAI.
Right.
And it's supposed to promote the safe development of AI.
Exactly.
As though there is a safe development for AI. And his own technology went to this esports competition that they have, where these players play this game called Dota 2. And it's this really complex game, like a capture the flag, siege kind of thing, teams of 5-on-5. Well, at this recent event that they had, they did this demonstration. And they took it was a limited version of the game. And they did a one-on-one match with Elon Musk's company's AI against one of the champions, like one of the really, really good players. And he got crushed.
Ooh.
In a live match. They did 2 rounds or something like that. And finally...
So it didn't legitimately crush him?
No, I mean in the game.
Okay.
But after a couple of rounds, he was just like, I can't I can't beat this thing. And
Quitter.
the bot, the AI, only had 2 weeks to learn the game. And, he's been playing for years.
Did the bot like crop shop after, like, suck it?
Maybe, I don't know. But because of that, Elon Musk is like, this is dangerous.
Isn't that kind of like Dr. Frankenstein up on the hill while his monster is, killing little girls, going, I may have made a mistake.
I think so.
We may need to actually kill the creature. Because it's him. I know he's not the only one, but he's sort of the poster boy for artificial intelligence and self-driving cars, which is a terrible idea.
I agree.
Which makes me hate him. And this is the same guy who, for no reason, digs tunnels in L.A. Like, he's been digging these freaking tunnels, and you always hear something crazy about Elon Musk, which makes me kind of love him. And
well, he's allowed to be. He's not crazy. He's eccentric.
He's eccentric
because he has a lot of money.
Right. Well, newsflash: the guy is nuts. But the thing about it is, I told you so. I mean, I don't hate to say it.
No, I know. You've always been against the AI thing ever since they started doing news stories on it. And
I was writing songs about it 20 years ago. I hate it. And the thing about it is I love some of the luxury, like our car,
Right.
I get near my car and it just knows to unlock the door. It heats the seats, it heats the steering wheel. It's all this great technology.
Well, I think that's a little bit different though. Like our car doesn't learn.
No, hopefully not.
So yeah, let's hope not. I mean, it does great technological stuff, but I don't think that it can get smarter as it goes on.
No, but
so there's a big leap there.
Yeah, but it's just the technology alone. And it really, this is ridiculous. I mean, is it a greater threat than nuclear war from North Korea? I don't think so, not at the time being. But what a great time to use that to get people's attention, because that's going to be the attention-grabbing headline.
Right.
And to shockingly say something like that, because then people are going to be like, oh, I understand what a threat that is because I just bought all this anti-radiation medicine. So maybe we should actually look. And the problem is, it's an unstoppable train. You're not going to be able to stop this because it lowers the price that we have to pay workers, and there's no insurance and, all this stuff to use this AI. But what people don't understand, and I don't get this about them, is when you put these people out of work, who are you going to sell this stuff to? Yeah. You got all these factories that are running completely on these smart computers, and great, they can make all this stuff really cheap, but who the hell is going to be able to buy it when you don't have a job?
Exactly.
I think we need to go back to gears and belts because I love it. Mechanical stuff, the AI stuff is terrifying. This is not the only thing that's happened. We had a story about this not long ago where the two robots were playing a peaceful game and they started screwing with each other and got angry.
Yeah, they started shooting each other to win.
Right.
Finding ways to win.
That was their answer, It's like,
that's what they went to.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, man.
Thought this story was funny because he's warning everybody about something that he's doing.
Right.
Like, I'm creating AI, but be warned, this is a terrible thing.
He is Dr. Frankenstein.
It's very strange.
He created the monster. And, he pulled the Abby Normal's brain and put it in this thing. And
then was like, we shouldn't do this.
Yeah, we should probably not do this. Now, to be fair, I've had certain moments in my life where I'm in the middle of something and I look down and I'm like, I probably shouldn't be doing this, so I know it happens.
Right.
But this is different than someone you take home from a bar. This is, this is big. This is a big deal, Elon. I mean,
listen to your own advice.
Yeah. What the hell, man? You can actually pull this plug yourself, bro. It's your plug. So I applaud you for saying this. Now shut it down. Shut it down before it's Terminator, 33,
right?
Death of Mankind. Forget Planet of the Apes. You know, it's Planet of the freaking Machines. And
Yes.
this is the next step of evolution. And people, we've already talked about people putting their consciousness in machines and
Oh, yeah. And merging their bodies with
Right.
technology. And I mean, like it's the wave of the future.
yeah. And then you have like the people like me who would do it. So don't give me that option.
Don't make it sound so cool.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh my God.
if you tell me, well, John, it'll be a little painful, but you're going to live forever in a robot.
And you'll have laser vision or something. You know, who knows?
Yeah. Then yes, go ahead. I'll do it. I'll be first in line. You know, this comes off the same week. I know all our Bible Belt buddies were really concerned with the first microchip going into an employee, and you know that story broke this past week where
Right.
you know they forcefully microchipped their employees or whatever. Which again, if you could put a microchip in my daughter, so I know that she's definitely not going to get taken, and if she does, we know exactly where she is. I have a hard time arguing with that. I guess it's because I'm not a criminal or I don't have any aspirations of being in the criminal world.
Right.
So I don't care if they know where I'm at all the time. I have a little thing to tell you guys. There's something called an iPhone, and they absolutely know where you're at all the time anyway. I showed Stacey some stuff that's hidden deep in the iPhone that shows not only where you're at, but how long you've been there, how often you go, you know, and the duration of it, you know, well, he was at this place for 4.5 hours and, you know, it's all in
It's
there.
crazy.
I mean,
It's all just listed there.
Yeah, it's all just listed there. It goes way further than that. They know where you're at already. And that's terrifying. So, I mean, this stuff, we're in a new world. This is a new world, and it's all within the past 10 years. It's all changed. Can you imagine? Look back at your phone 10 years ago, okay? Look at what they couldn't do compared to what we have now. We have the handheld computers
Yep.
that have more power than your laptop had 10 years ago and much faster. And every year it catapults. And it goes up further and further and further. Imagine 10 years from now. Now imagine 20 years from now. Okay, where are we going to be at that point? The way technology goes, your technology becomes obsolete in a year.
Yeah.
If that.
If even that long.
If that.
Yeah.
So it becomes obsolete. We are 3D printing houses. All right? We are 3D printing limbs and
They can 3D print anything.
organs.
Yeah.
You know? So that's great stuff. That really is. But where are we going to be in 20 years with the artificial intelligence? Go back like 5 years and watch that robot army dog video that I think everybody's probably seen.
Terrifying.
Yeah. It makes
You can't get away from that thing.
yeah, Cujo took off running with his tail tucked between his legs. It's like, screw you guys, I'm going home. Go, Elon Musk, go home. You're drunk.
Might be true. All right. Well, let's move on. This story is actually really cool. And I know that you've heard about this because it's actually a lot of stories all put together. But it's about all the sightings, the recent sightings of the flying humanoid in
Yes.
Chicago.
I love flying humanoids, even if they are harbinger of death.
So these sightings, I mean, there's been around 30 now this year, going
Right.
back starting in about February up until this month.
Right.
And all of the descriptions from the different sightings are very similar. They vary a little bit, but mostly it's a humanoid shape. It's dark. There's always wings,
Right.
Red eyes, very Mothman.
Oh yeah,
very Mothman.
Very much Mothman, and it's really strange because of the violence that's been happening in Chicago. It's not making the mainstream news as much as it probably should. But I mean, just this past weekend, there was double homicides, triple homicides. I believe 9 people were murdered on Sunday alone, and this is a normal weekend in Chicago right now. It's been a very weird year in Chicago for violence. Now, I know there's a lot of violence there all the time. It's a big city. There's a lot of violence in Detroit. There's a lot of violence in New York City. I get that.
Right.
But there is an astounding amount of violence going on in Chicago. Weird that we're having these sightings, especially with the way the world is right now.
Right.
And it gets weirder because they do look like Mothman. A lot of the man-bat type sightings that, so you can even find maps that are real-time, like maps of the sightings and where they happened, where they occurred, down to the street,
Right.
What it said it was. And it's all really relevant to being close to the same thing. A strange thing for me about this is Mothman happened in Point Pleasant, West Virginia in 1967.
Right.
50 years ago.
Right. So it's like the 50th anniversary
Right.
of Mothman. And
Right.
people are having sightings in one city.
Right.
And, it's not like one sighting here, one sighting there, or like somebody had a sighting and then a bunch of other people came around. It's like, oh, yeah, I saw that too. I was like,
Right.
no, these are like separate individual reported sightings over like a span of 6 or 7 months.
Right. Ongoing.
Yeah,
Ongoing.
it's crazy.
I mean, if anybody read the John Keel book from 1975, The Mothman Chronicles, I mean, it's very, it's just very crazy what's going on. And of course, we know how that ended. In Point Pleasant, it ended with the bridge collapse.
Right.
And which was a terrible tragedy. The town itself, they've got the Mothman statue there and all this stuff. But
And that happened in December of that year, right?
Right. And I think that the problem is that it kind of, people look back at that. By this point, I don't know if they believe that or if it's just fun to go look at that statue or what.
Right.
This is something that really affected these people and that really happened to these people, this phenomenon, and then this terrible tragedy.
Right.
So there's a lot of people that are saying that the Mothman, and that's just what we call it because that's what was that was what was coined. Whatever this flying demon humanoid or whatever the hell it is honestly an omen. It's a bad omen
sign
of something that's going to happen. There's a lot of things going on in the world right now that are very, very bad, and hopefully this does not culminate in some kind of disaster.
Yes. Let's hope not. Let's hope not. But I will put up links for the stories and I think we have like an interactive map kind of thing that you can look at and see where all the sightings were and see all the details if you're interested in
and if you're in
along.
Chicago and you're a listener of the show, let us know if you've heard anything about this,
or seen it.
Yeah, if you've hung out with him or, anything like that is, before you're murdered, get a hold of us and let us know.
Definitely before you're murdered or after, either way.
Number one, don't go outside. Just check your windows. And I'm just kidding. It's something terrible and insensitive to kid about. I know, but it's me. So that's how I get through things.
Well, we'll just move on to the next story then. How's that? Okay, so the next story is a really cool story from Rhode Island. And it's about this mysterious object that's off Westerly Beach. And they don't know what it is.
Well, that's always
so. It's in a strange object that was found underwater off the shore of East Beach in Westerly. And it's about 4 feet wide.
Okay.
And looks like it's made of stainless steel, some kind of metal.
Right.
And it has like 8 or 9 like legs and a circle part, and it's buried in the sand.
Yeah.
And they can't move it. Like people went out there and tried to lift it. They tried to move it. And they tried to get it out. Absolutely cannot be budged at all.
And they were supposed to try to get rid of this yesterday, right?
Yes. No. So they, the people in the area, they called Rocky's Tree Service because they have a 5-ton winch.
Did they call? Oh, wow.
Rocky's Tree Service. Yes. And they were going to come bring the winch to the beach and chain it up and try to pull it out.
Poor girl.
I hate it when they chain up the winches.
You got to get the winch.
A 5-ton winch.
You'll have to come do it again. Sorry.
It turns
5-ton winch is kind of funny.
that they weren't able to do that because of Hurricane Gert, which is actually
what a terrible name for a hurricane.
I know, it's awful.
Hurricane Gert.
But it's off on Tuesday. It was off the coast of the Carolinas. It was causing really rough surf and that sort of thing. So
I'd be angry too if my name was Gert.
They weren't able to do the extraction, but they're going to reschedule it and let everybody know when they're going to try and go out there and get this thing.
They should never have let the Navy know. Like this story, the first people they contacted was the Navy. Of course, they're like, turn on HARP.
They took pictures and they showed it to the Navy. They showed it to some of the area fishermen. They showed it to a local wind farm. And
why the hell did they show it to the wind farm?
Well, I guess maybe they thought it was a piece of equipment that belonged to the wind farm
that's in the ocean?
Maybe. Who knows?
Okay.
And to the University of Rhode Island oceanographers. So they showed it to a bunch of different experts.
And then they called Rocky's Tree Service.
To pull it out.
No, I'm sorry.
Not to ask them what it is. Apparently, they're the only people with a big winch.
Right.
So
it's probably Rocky's daughter.
So nobody seemed to know what it was.
It's like, oh yeah.
And
how many I just picture a bunch of Rhode Islanders out there scratching their heads.
Well,
Yeah,
apparently,
I have no idea.
some swimmers pulled a piece of purple fabric off of whatever it is.
Off the winch?
No,
Oh.
off of the thing in the ocean.
Oh.
But nobody has any idea what it is. And there are pictures. You can go online and look, and you can see it under the water. It looks like just the top of something huge.
Well, wouldn't it be really cool if this was the top of like a pyramid or the
Right.
top of a skyscraper from, the last era?
It would be cool if it was some kind of building or something, just and the ocean floors
is
kind
it.
of receded and they found it.
Like we find it. This is it. This is the moment.
Well, if that is the case, I don't think a 5-ton winch is going to get it out of there.
No, she's going to get very tired.
So very cool story. I'm going to follow this and see what happens if they finally get out there and pull
you know
it
what
up.
we should do?
What's that?
We should go.
We should drive down there. It's not that far away.
It's like a couple of hours, if that.
Yeah. I mean, we've driven further than that just in
Today.
May. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we should totally do that.
Okay, well, maybe we'll go check it out. Since they haven't pulled it out of the ocean yet, we
What
can
we
still
really
go look
need
at
to
it.
do is call Rocky's. I think we should call Rocky's Tree Service as part of the blog.
And ask them about it.
Yeah, just on speakerphone. Just call Rocky's. Yeah, because they're going to answer.
Well, of course.
Would you be hi?
It's like, excuse me, we have a large object in the ocean. We need you to come pull out.
Excuse me, we found another large object just down the street from the other one. We were wondering if you had a bigger winch.
Oh, I think they'd hang up on us.
We're going to need a bigger winch. That's my new T-shirt.
Oh my God. You're going to need a bigger winch. Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, God bless Rocky.
All right.
And
So
his tree service.
stay tuned for updates
All right.
on the Rhode Island object.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go on to the next story. And this is the one that we need to talk about. That's about Steve Huff from
Right.
Huff Paranormal.
Right. Makes all the boxes. And
Yes.
all that
He
good
put
stuff.
out a post on his Facebook page just this past week that he was leaving the paranormal field and he was not going to do his work, his research anymore. He put a big, long explanation. And basically, he felt like he was being attacked, that
Right.
he had been in contact with negative entities, negative spirits, and that not only himself, but his family
Right.
was being attacked and they were feeling the bad effects from all this. And he just said enough's enough and completely decided to walk away.
Right. Right.
Right. And so he took down his YouTube, he took down his website, and
Well, I mean,
just said that's it.
initially, and if you read through this, which we will link to on paranormalsideshow.com, if you read through this, it's very eerily similar to many things that I have went through and Stacey has went through. Obviously, I am the ITC guy with us, and from the days of my shack hack to listening to it probably way too much, and people that I've been a part of, people that I've trained, people that are still connected with us, like Alan Marston, who we have on the show. I did Appomattox Courthouse with him and went through a lot of ITC with him, and he took that ball and scored touchdowns with it. and he also hears the same thing that I hear that Steve talked about in his letter with this, and it's hard to explain unless you've done it and you know what I'm talking about. But sometimes when reviewing, there's another realm, there's another layer that you're in tune with, that you're touching on, and that it's almost like you're hearing something that you shouldn't be hearing.
Right.
And this has happened to me for years. Now I do have other abilities that cause me to have communications that some people may not have. And that comes from doing this for years as well, so to speak, and some other stuff. But just speaking strictly ITC, in doing this sweep technology, I have heard some horrible things and some threats to me personally, and threats to other people, and threats to people I love, and voices of people that I know that aren't really them,
Right.
and things that I don't even use for evidence. Because when we go in these places, I mean, I could sit here right now and do it, and I don't, because I've done it in my home before and opened portals that I didn't want opened. And
Right.
we have fought things. We have went through hell and back together with certain paranormal things. It's real, folks. That's the thing about it. It's absolutely real. I've talked about it before, and we'll come back to Steve here in a second, but I think it bears repeating that in 1997, when Stacey and I had that shared experience, you can have something happen to you on a case, in a haunted hotel or something, and your mind can rationalize that away because it's not really affecting your family. It's not really affecting anything. I mean, you're there, and you can still sort of rationalize that away. You can get a great EVP under scientific conditions, but still, yeah, you kind of, I don't know if we've grown, if we've grown to this point in this field where we're not as sensitive to that anymore, where we're like, oh, hey, it just said, I'll murder you all. That's pretty cool. Let's show it to our friends.
Right.
Unfortunately, we've become desensitized to this. But, I go back to 97. I go back to 20 years ago. And, what happened to us was playing with something that we shouldn't have played with, which is exactly the same as doing the ITC research in your home. With us, it was me screwing around and saying some stuff I shouldn't have said and using a Ouija
inviting
board,
things we shouldn't have invited.
Inviting something in to come wreak havoc. And, middle of the afternoon, I seen a full-sized man, black shadow, solid, come through a door, come through beside me, run through the kitchen. It ran in the other room in front of Stacey. It physically manipulated objects on its path. And this is real. This happened. This is what got us into it because of something that the nucleus was something that we shouldn't have been doing. But at the same time, I do believe that was supposed to happen because that's really what pulled us to where we're at right now. We joke on a side note, we joke, how the hell are we together? Neither one of us are the type. We're not the marrying kind. And, but together, we couldn't imagine being apart for even a second. And a lot of that's been this paranormal journey. But so I totally get it. But we've made that mistake again in other houses. We no way we would take that chance now. The ITC research, it can be terrifying. And there are things on there, if you do it that much, especially what he's been doing, because he is, one of the pioneers, one of the top guys in that research field. You're going to have these things happen. And the only thing that I, not really as a negative thing to what he said, but if you're going to walk away, if you get a warning to walk away and you decide, well, I'm going to walk away, and that's great. He shut down to YouTube and he shut down all this stuff, but walk all the way away. When I read it, he talking about making a book and putting in the book all the crazy things that he got and how he got it and all this stuff. Well, that's not walking away. I don't know if Beelzebub's going to be like, all right, thanks for walking away, but I want you to profit on this. I'm just saying, I'm just speaking my mind.
I agree.
And I know he's come out since and said that he was gonna.
Yeah, he actually put his YouTube and his website back up a few days later, and he put out a post on his website about how him and his wife were out one day and they were eating in a restaurant. And while they were eating in just a little local restaurant, mom and pop restaurant, two different people actually approached him and asked if he was Steve Huff and told him that, they watched his YouTube and how much they enjoyed it and how much they learned, and just a very positive kind of thing. And so he took that as a sign that maybe walking away wasn't the right thing to do.
Right.
But he wasn't sure. So he has actually just said that he's going to take a break. And then at the end of that break, decide if the walking away is what he needs to do or if he can come back and continue what he was doing.
Yeah, and don't misconstrue what I was saying as anything other than a warning.
Right.
I just don't believe that he was seeing it clearly. From reading that, if something was telling you to walk away and you took it as that, then writing a book is not walking away completely.
Right.
Because it's bringing up, you're going to think about what was happening. And me personally, as I talked about when I'm reviewing evidence and it takes me back to that place, sometimes I have some of the same activity happen to me where I'm reviewing that. And that's all I was worried about. More power to him. And like I said, it's eerily similar. So I know what he's saying and I believe him because.
Oh, yeah. A lot of the things that he said happened to him are things that we had experienced.
Right.
I mean, the chest pains, all the negative things that had happened in his home and to his family, those are things that we personally know about. And I know that we've talked about this before, but you have to be really careful with any kind of communication. That's why we don't do it in our house. Any kind of, even if it's not sweep technology, like you said, any kind of EVP session or Ouija board or anything that's an open communication. The problem with that is no matter how much you do it, no matter how much you protect yourself, you don't really know what you're talking to.
No.
I mean, it can tell you that it's your great uncle Pat or whatever. You don't really know.
No, you don't. You don't know.
And there's no way to really know.
No, there's not. And that's the whole thing about it is no matter how good you are at building boxes, there's nobody that is truly an expert with the other side.
Right.
We don't become that. We don't know. That's why we do this, is to try to answer questions to the best we can, try to figure out what's going on, because it doesn't fit the paradigm that we're given.
Right.
So for us, this was forced on us. This happened to us. And we were like, okay, we need to figure this out because this is not what we've been taught our entire lives.
Right.
And, but at the same time, guys, it's real. It is absolutely real. So, doing it in your home, I strictly beg you not to, because
just for your own peace of mind.
Yeah, because
just for your own peace of mind.
Totally open. It's basically saying, okay, it's cool to be here, guys, and you can do all your protections or whatever you want.
I mean, we open and close sessions.
Yeah.
We take precautions, but you know what?
It still happens.
It does. And we find ourselves a lot of times, even on investigations, after the investigation, we'll be like, you know what? We didn't close that session. What were we thinking?
Well, it's kind of like,
always do that. And this time something happens.
I like to compare it to safe sex. Okay. So the only safe sex, unfortunately, is abstinence. So, as much as I'm not a proponent for that,
definitely not.
I would just like to say that in your home, I would practice abstinence as far as if you don't want to take a risk,
right?
Because that sucker can, that sucker can break, and the next thing you know, you get your little paranormal baby. So it's just
you and your analogies.
I love my analogies.
I know,
but they make sense. So when you're out and about and you've paid for the thing, then use it to death. But when you're in your own home, man, just chill.
Exactly. All right. So we'll just follow up with that, see what happens, I guess, down the road after he takes a break.
Good luck, Steve.
All right. So let's move on. Now, this is a story that I saw in the Catholic Register.
Oh, there's a good segue.
And this is actually the story we were talking about earlier about The Exorcist.
Speaking of safe sex.
And you noticed the clock.
Every sperm is sacred.
So this is an article about an exorcist named Father Robert, who talks about the new Annabelle movie. Yes. So he went to see.
Cody went to go see that
the
today.
new Annabelle movie. Did he like it?
I don't know yet.
Oh, we haven't found out.
No.
We haven't seen it yet. But it's funny because he went to the movie and the article was basically telling whether or not the movie stayed true to the Catholic faith.
Right.
So whether it's okay for Catholics to go see it without it testing their faith. That was the basis of the article.
What a job to have.
Yeah, really. So he went to see the film and he actually said that the writers really had done their homework.
Right.
That they really stayed true to the Catholic faith. There were a few inconsistencies. I'm not going to tell you what they are because for anyone that hasn't seen the movie, it would kind of give away some of the scenes. But I will link to this. So if you're interested in what those little inconsistencies were, you can look.
Somebody will be.
Yeah, but they're not bad. They're not big.
Right.
And he said one of the main things that he pointed out was that evil can't go anywhere it's not invited.
That's exactly what we were just talking about.
Which is what we were just talking about. Exactly. So I think there was a few things in the movie along that line. That was one of the inconsistencies where, maybe people were being possessed that didn't, ask for it in some way. But he said it was a good movie and the article's actually pretty interesting. He talks about how to tell.
What are you doing? Like reading the Catholic Register?
I don't read the Catholic Register. I just kind of keyword Google search things. And sometimes I get, weird articles.
I know you were born that way, but I'm just wondering.
Born that way. Like it's like it's a thing. Yes, I was Catholic. So he's actually an experienced exorcist. So he's seen some really crazy things. So
Right.
in this article, it gives you like 5 signs that somebody's possessed,
Right.
which were freaking hilarious because one of them was like levitation and one of them was superhuman strength, which I think are pretty obvious signs. I don't think you need a list to tell you that maybe.
Honey, look at little Tommy. He's levitating again. I wonder if he's okay.
I'm sure he's fine.
Oh, he just spit pea soup. Do you think we should call someone?
So it's a pretty
Signs that you're possessed.
Yeah, I know. It's a pretty interesting article.
Speaking in tongues.
And
walking up the side of the wall.
Apparently it's okay with the Catholic Church if you go see it.
Well, that's cool. And that's not surprising. So I'm just wondering, why does the Catholic Church,
right?
even though, I mean, I love the Catholic Church, okay? I love it because it scares me. I've talked about this before because, I mean, it freaking...
There's a lot of ritual and pomp and circumstance.
Yeah, I mean,
involved.
the Catholic Church scares you into being good because, I mean, the first time you go into one and like everybody's like chanting and you see these big statues. And
I remember the first time we went, I don't guess you'd ever been to a Catholic church
never.
before. We went to something, a funeral, I think, or something, and everybody was doing the responsive reading. You were like, what the heck is going on in here? Like it was a cult or something.
Yeah, the only other time I'd been to something like that, it was a cult. So I was just like, where have you taken me and what's going on? But, like Hollywood, they always use the Catholic Church. You know what? I want representation for other faiths in there. It just doesn't make sense. What happens to all the good little Baptist boys and girls that want to go see a horror movie?
Are there Baptist exorcists?
You would think there would have to be. I mean, they at least go and bless the house, right?
You would think so.
I'll tell you what, you want to see a real battle. you put one from where we're at, from where we're from. Put one of those Southern reverends in there, and let's see how the demon
devil would be
he'd walk in there. He'd be like, "Demon, listen to what I say, because God has said you need to go." I want to see dancing and come on now, demon, let's get on out.
Well, if it really was a Southern Baptist preacher, once the devil was gone, then everyone would fellowship.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's fine with me. Like there's never Mormons. There's never. I mean, there has to be evil in other places, right?
Right.
We need representation
from every
religion.
I gotcha.
I
agree.
I just want to see movies, like maybe a series of movies, like where
they don't call the Catholic
priest. They don't call the Catholic priest.
It's an idea. Maybe Hollywood's listening. I don't know.
Maybe they are. I know they are. Right. I know you're listening, Hollywood.
All right, well, let's move on. So this is kind of an update to a story we talked about last time.
Okay.
And do you remember the story I did at the end about the group in North Carolina that had the Bigfoot sighting?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So there's this story now. And on that story that I linked to last time, it talked about the group and how they had this recent Bigfoot sighting. But at the top of the article, there was this video that had been sent to the paper like 2 years ago of a supposed Bigfoot sighting that was obviously just a dude in a little suit because he was like tiny. He wasn't big at all.
Maybe it was like an undersized Bigfoot that felt bad about itself and put a Bigfoot suit on.
Maybe. You never know.
Anyway.
So this story came out that this guy, he's from Minnesota. His name is Gawain McGregor. He claims...
Can you imagine being a Bigfoot that only had like a size 9? I mean, do you think that happens? Like the other Bigfoot are like sitting around going, "Hey, Tommy, how's it going?" I mean, it's a good size. You have nothing to be ashamed of. You really don't.
They don't let him join in the Bigfoot games.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe they do, but they're just kind of like condescending about it, I'm sure. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry, my mind. You know how it
okay.
works.
It's late. It's fine. So Gawain McGregor claims...
Gawain McGregor.
That's his name, yeah. Claims that this recent Bigfoot sighting was actually him.
It's an amazing name.
That it wasn't a Bigfoot, that it was him, that he was doing his reenactment of a centuries-old tradition from the Epic of Gilgamesh. That he, I'm not done, wait, and that he is a follower of this religion called Enkiduism. In other words, he worships Bigfoot. And
this is in Carolina?
Well, he's a Minnesota guy, but apparently he went to Carolina, is what he said.
To reenact his Epic of Gilgamesh.
Yes, and he wears a fursuit. He makes fursuits and he puts them on and he
Right.
wanders around in the forest and
course
it's
he
supposed
does.
to help him connect with nature
See, this is when we need a Southern Baptist preacher.
or whatever. Right. So he said that
Boy.
this recent one was actually just him, and he was in an area he didn't think he'd run into anybody, and he just was like, they were surprised to see him, so he just walked off. Like he was
Right.
like, what was I supposed to say? So I feel like this whole thing is just a big joke. So this guy has this blog, this website about Enkiduism, and you can go there. And there's all these posts about rituals and prayers and things that you do to worship Sasquatch or Bigfoot
Right,
or whatever.
right.
And there's even a little PDF pamphlet you can download
Right,
and
of
pass
course
out.
there is.
Of course. The only problem with this is there's only about 5 posts,
Mm-hmm.
and they were all posted 2 years ago before that video was sent to the newspaper.
Oh,
So to me, it seems like this is just one big complete joke.
right.
But this newspaper's reported on it, and it's freaking hilarious.
I mean,
This guy is insane.
okay, so as I've talked about before, 7 years of doing the show, and we've had people on that talk to pets and do the little pet voice. We've had people on that are, talk to people in the cosmos, and we've had people that can relate to ETs, and we've had a lot of stuff, and
We have.
and whether I agree with it or not, I have always been respectful, and you've always been respectful, and we take pride in the fact that we don't make fun of people.
Right.
There's a lot of shows out there who make fun of people. We're all inclusive.
We are.
We don't care who you are, what you do. We want to hear your story. We want to, be part of this big ball of love, right?
Right.
I'm drawing a line in the sand.
At the Enkiduism.
I mean, if it's truly a thing, okay, and there's more than just this one guy.
I've never heard of this before. I feel like it's just this one guy, but the amount of work that he put in there are pictures of him in the suit.
Let me get this straight. In this religion, you put big fur suits on.
Yeah, you make a suit out of fur. Oh my gosh, you have to see the pictures.
And you run through the woods.
They're so hilarious. It's something about the Epic of Gilgamesh, and
which I love the Epic of Gilgamesh. It's
And
awesome. I just don't expect to see the guy in North Carolina.
There's actually these other rituals that you do where you make like gingerbread Sasquatches and eat them, and you you just all kinds of different things.
Let me point out 2 things. Warnings, if you will.
Yes.
I'm not gonna poop on this guy's religion. I just don't do that.
If it's a real thing.
I don't really, I don't do that. If it's a real thing, if he thinks it's a real thing, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to refrain from that.
Right.
Okay. Hopefully my condescending tone is enough. But 2 warnings. Number 1, things that can go wrong in North Carolina when running through the woods in a Bigfoot costume.
Exactly.
Number 1 is you're going to get shot. Okay. Number 2, you actually run across a horny Bigfoot that takes you in front of everybody and just decides, you know what? There's your Epic of Gilgamesh, buddy. And gets really upset when he doesn't find the, okay.
Yeah.
So, that's just 2 warnings I have.
I don't understand why this guy, if he's from Minnesota, has to go all the way to North Carolina to wander through the woods.
Yeah, there's a lot of woods in Minnesota. It's a lot colder though.
I suppose. Yeah, but he's wearing fur.
Well, he's wearing fur.
So I don't know. I don't understand it.
There's a lot of moose, I think, or elk. I don't know.
Another little side note, a funny thing, that after that last story came out, the Greenville Police Department actually posted a message on their Facebook page asking people to please not shoot Bigfoot if they see him in the woods.
Well, yeah, we just had that TV show where they were like killing Bigfoot.
Because it's probably just a dude in a suit.
Please don't ever shoot Bigfoot.
Yeah, even if it's a real Bigfoot,
I mean,
for the love of God, don't shoot it.
It might be the one, like the only one that's there.
Right.
Please don't shoot Bigfoot. Just run. I mean,
take a picture.
Yeah, take a picture
and run.
Oh my God.
All right. Anyway, I thought that was hilarious. You definitely have to click on it and look at the pictures.
It's honestly too funny to even keep going on it.
Okay.
I need you to move.
We're moving on. So this is a ghost story.
Okay,
and this is from Cambodia.
Oh, I love Cambodia.
And this is a story about some workers in a garment factory.
Well, I mean, are they complaining about their pay or lack thereof, or Kathy Lee's like got a whip? And
no, actually, it's a story that more than 30 of them actually fainted in a factory after
from bad conditions and heat.
No, it's not like a sweatshop. It's a job. After one staff member was claimed to have been possessed by a ghost.
Oh.
So the chief of the Coalition of Cambodian Apparel Workers Democratic Union,
damn,
that is quite a name, in the Canada Industrial Park, his name is Bun Van.
Of course it is.
Yes. He said about 35 workers at the New Orient Garment Company fainted, and they were sent to a private clinic for treatment. And there was news spreading around the workers that one of them was possessed by a ghost and was screaming for chicken to eat.
For chicken?
Chicken. Yeah, so apparently when you get possessed by a spirit, you just want to eat chicken.
Totally believe
you yell for it.
Like if you finally get inside a human, all you want to do is drink liquor, have sex, and eat chicken.
Eat chicken. So it scared the other workers, and they started to faint one by one, so they had to send them off to this private clinic.
Yeah.
For treatment.
I like the way that it put the private part in there. It reminds me of an investigation we did recently where the story was the mill made this private hospital building because the people were getting sick and they held them there against their will. And you got to love the companies.
Yeah. For quote unquote treatment.
Yeah. Here, we're going to send you to your private doctor here.
So this Mr. Van said that it wasn't clear if the ghost possession was real or not.
Right.
But he did say that it was not the first time that such things had spread amongst the workers. And that some of the other factories, it's happened more than 10 times already.
Sister, let me tell you. If somebody says they're possessed by a ghost and the first thing they say is, I need some chicken, then you can probably bet they're not lying. You know, I mean, a fake ghost possession is going to be like, you know, I want your soul, or, you know, something like that. I need some chicken and fast. Mm-hmm.
Maybe someone was just hungry.
Sounds totally legitimate to me.
So they interviewed one of the workers that fainted.
Chicken.
And she said that some of them fainted in the morning and others in the afternoon. And she said that she just felt panicked and suddenly she fainted, but she doesn't really know why.
But the chickens are fainting too.
And when she was in the clinic, she said another worker that was brought in for treatment at the clinic was still yelling like she was possessed. So I don't know. It's amazing how such strong belief in that kind of thing just causes that kind of thing to happen all the time.
I'm telling you, it's that sounds legitimate to me. That one does.
It does. But I thought that was pretty cool.
I wish I could have video of everybody fainting whenever.
I want video of the person that's possessed that is screaming for chicken.
Dude, as soon as I'm a ghost, you're going to know it because somebody's going to be running around looking for like barbecue and sex. It's just going to be like, has anybody got any skull? How about a barbecue?
I have a feeling that I'll be smelling skull. It'll be like a phantom skull smell.
Yeah, you're going to be having a lot more signs than that.
All right, so let's move on. So this story is not technically a paranormal story, but I thought it was really strange.
Well, there you go.
What's happening to this family?
I don't know if 99% of the stories we do are technically paranormal.
No, but they all have a weird aspect here and there.
Yeah, we're talking about them.
This is actually a very tragic story, and it's kind of sad, but it was a little weird too. So. What?
You were so Seinfeld. It's just like this, you've got a big smile on your face. And you're like, this is a very tragic story.
It's how I deal. It's how I deal with tragedy.
We're terrible people. All right, go ahead.
So it's about a New York woman,
right,
who was actually killed in a hit and run accident.
Oh God, that is terrible.
I told you.
Well,
it was
quit smiling.
Horrible. I'm
what
not smiling. Hell? I'm devastated.
All right.
So the weird part about the story is she's the third person in her family in the last 2 years to be killed by hit and run.
Well, that's weird.
See, that's what I thought too.
That is paranormal.
And she was actually killed kind of close to the spot where her brother died 2 years earlier from a hit and run. Now, the point of the article is, street? I don't know. I don't think it was like in the middle of the street. It doesn't say. Do they
live like on a busy ass intersection or something? Or
no.
Okay.
But the point of the article was that they were, pleading for this person that did it to please turn themselves in.
Did they catch the other ones?
It doesn't say.
I wonder
It
if
was
it's the
not,
same person.
I think they're just being targeted.
Yeah.
Well, her and her brother both were just hit and run where they didn't know who did it. They had a sister-in-law that was also hit by someone in a car, but she was killed saving her daughter. Her daughter was in the way, and she pushed her daughter out of the way, and she got hit and was killed. And that happened on Mother's Day.
God, that's terrible.
So it all happened like in such a close span.
What a tragedy.
And how strange is it that things like that can happen in one family, like the same thing?
It's not that strange, not to me. I mean, I don't know if you know this or not, but my great grandfather and I believe his brother and I believe somebody else too, all died from lightning strikes.
Really?
Yeah, they get just struck by lightning.
That's
And
really strange.
I'm not sure if they all died. I know that one of them did.
Well, just the fact they all got struck by lightning is pretty incredible.
Yeah. It's like all the men like over there, and there's a lot of lightning strikes that happened, and
That's crazy.
I always just suspected it was God trying to alleviate the problem before it happened, being me, and
like he's not going to be born.
yeah, it's I really don't know what it is, but yeah,
Right.
I mean, hit and run and lightning strikes. To me, that's just like,
Well, I just wonder if that's like some kind of phenomena, like with certain families where certain tragedies
I stay inside when it storms.
sort of stay. Yeah, I always wondered where certain tragedies, stay with one family group. Like it's just, that seems paranormal to me.
It
That
really
seems
is.
very strange.
God love them and their family. I really do feel for that family, and it is some
Absolutely.
horrible tragedies that's happening. Not making light of that at all. In fact, we're very perplexed by that. That is a strange story. The lightning thing's true with my family, but you can laugh about that because I do. But I mean, I think it might be the reason I have no hair. I don't know.
It could be.
It's like something down in the genes.
It could be. It's a good thing you never became an electrician.
I'm terrified of electricity.
Is this why I always change the light bulbs?
It's exactly the reason you change it. It's one of those things, man. You know how I'm about signs and omens.
Right.
That's all you got to tell me.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, Henry and Tommy and all these people.
They don't have to tell you twice, do
No,
they?
hell no. I hear that story and I am all about self-preservation. So.
All right. Well, that'll be something interesting to check out if that's like a phenomenon.
What, to see if I get struck by lightning?
No, I mean like to see if
Oh,
that kind of
God.
thing is a phenomenon.
Stacey's going to have me out in a damn field next week.
Could you hold this umbrella,
Yeah,
honey?
let's just see.
Hold it up in the air.
I mean, what's the odds?
Don't worry about the clouds. It's fine. All right. So let's go on to our last little bit of stories here. And these are all about the eclipse that is coming up.
Oh, boy.
And I know that we've been talking about this and going over it, but
This is our last episode, isn't it?
before the eclipse. Yeah.
Before the end of the world.
Before the end of the world. Well, let me just point this out first. This is kind of funny. This is a couple of agencies that have been kind of having fun
Right.
with the eclipse. And one of them is in North Carolina because they just have weird
Just
stuff
because
there.
they're really all over it right now.
Yeah, well, South Carolina, excuse me. It's the Carolinas in general. The South Carolina Emergency Management Division has put out a graphic showing where you may possibly see lizard man during the eclipse.
Wow.
And they have this map showing where all the past sightings are. And
There's been some really real sightings of that
Yeah.
too.
And
I'll buy that one.
yeah, and they said that they didn't know if lizard men became more active during the eclipse, but just in case, you have this graphic now to tell you where not to be.
I just picture Lizard Man perusing the internet and seeing that story.
And being like, oh, I guess I'll go over here.
Yeah. It's like I would be out there with my little lizard, jinglings hanging out and just scaring the crap out of people.
On the same note, NASA put a graphic out about Sasquatch. They called it Sunsquatch. And they took the band where the total eclipse is going to be across the United States,
Right.
and they plotted all the places where you may possibly see Bigfoot during the eclipse. So,
You know what? It's not funny, NASA. It's okay for South Carolina to do that. I know they don't have much else to do. But NASA,
and don't you have better things to do?
you're already lying to us about everything else. Hey, this is going to be the one thing they're telling us the truth about.
Yeah.
There'll be a whole band of Sasquatch down through there. It's like the freaking trail of Sasquatch tears or something.
Oh, that's funny.
It's not really, but yes, it is.
So what you were mentioning a second ago about the eclipse is, of course, about the conspiracy theorists David Meade.
David Meade.
Who's actually come out and claimed that the eclipse on August 21st is going to be the beginning of the end, and the whole planet Nibiru, and it's going to appear and start its collision course with Earth and eventually crash into us in September.
Right.
And that's going to be, the end
Right.
of the world, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I've been seeing stuff about him for a while. He obviously released a book about this. And I seen it in conjunction with the Great Pyramid, that he had cracked some kind of code with that. It had something to do with numbers. I know that, what is it with the one I have, and I'll paraphrase. The amateur stargazer has claimed to have decoded the Great Pyramid and discovered that it's a date marker that reveals when the apocalypse is coming. It matches a prophecy foretelling the end of days in the Bible, and it's next month. Well, at the time of this writing, which is this, in a couple of days. Earlier this year, Christian numerologist David Meade matched the positions of the heavenly bodies with Bible verses to work out when the world will end, with the giant planet Nibiru or Planet X crashes into Earth. And I will say, NASA does say, there is something beyond like the Kuiper Belt that does cause some disarray. And that is a weird thing, because years ago they weren't saying that. Right. And they are saying now, there are some trajectories out there that are kind of skewed. Right.
Like I think they can tell by the positions of other stuff and the pull on different things.
Right. And we do, they're like, we do believe there is maybe a small, dwarf planet or something out there, some kind of ice planet.
Right.
That's causing these things that we don't know about, or, we suspect it's out there. The thing about Nibiru, this giant freaking planet sneaking up on us. Right. It's crazy. But then I look at stuff like what's been happening in Brazil the last couple of days. Okay. Have you seen that?
I have not seen that.
So in Brazil, they've been having this strange weather. They had the ocean recede
that's weird.
In this, pretty big area in Brazil. It receded out like you would have when a tsunami was coming, but not because of an earthquake. Scientists have no idea why it receded out. Now it eventually came back in. Right, but it just went out for a while for no reason. No reason. It was out for a while, and I mean it was out. It was like low tide, worse than low tide out. Right. And people were running. People were like, "Oh crap! There's a tsunami." Well, yeah, because you would think there would be. Yeah, absolutely. Nothing happened. Well, it's probably a good thing there wasn't a tsunami. From Antarctica, there's been these. I don't know what to call them, but like these power grids, like this radiation grid or whatever. They can tell that it's coming it looks like it's coming from Antarctica, but it's these weird, because you could see on maps where all this radiation is or whatever going across the globe. And that's been strange lately. There's been a lot of strange things. And then you have the conjunction of the eclipse, and I'll let you go into some of the stuff this guy's actually found, where he says, and it is interesting about the numbers. Yes. Go over some of these weird numbers, like the weird coincidences that are supposedly in conjunction with this eclipse. I am ready. So supposedly the August eclipse occurs exactly 33 days before the Revelation 12 sign, beginning in the 33rd state, Oregon, and ending in South Carolina at the 33rd parallel. That's a weird place. And the eclipse occurs on the 233rd day of the year, which is 33 weeks and 2 days into 2017. And there hasn't been an eclipse like this in 99 years. Okay. Which is like 3 times 33. Right. If you break it down. The eclipse also. Jesus was 33 when he died. That's true. 33 is a big number for that kind of thing. So the eclipse is also exactly 40 days from Yom Kippur. And 40 is huge. 40 is like 7. It represents the period of testing in the Bible. 47, 33. There's some big numbers. All those that you just see, they recur over and over and over. So the 40-day period leading up to Yom Kippur is kind of like a time to get right before the day of judgment. So that's kind of a strange thing. And, eclipses, they're not that uncommon, but total solar eclipses only occur once about every year and a half or something like that. So the next time a total solar eclipse will cross the United States is actually 7 years from the time this one does. So 7 years from now. So it's a little odd that we haven't had one in 99 years, but then all of a sudden we're going to have one
and then have one 7 years later.
Right.
Because of the 7 thing that we just talked about, you know, like the 7 years. So when the second one comes 7 years later and you see the path of it, it makes an X over the United States.
Cool.
Like the path of this one and the path of the one 7 years later forms an X. And it just so happens that the place where the X crosses is in a region in southern Illinois that's considered Little Egypt.
That's weird.
So, and there's a lot more. I'll put a link up for like a website that has all these different little coincidences, and there's a whole list of them. A lot of them are biblical based, obviously, but it's still an interesting read.
Oh, it's really strange. And the conspiracy theorists are going nuts about it. I mean, I know FEMA's doing some kind of exercise like the day after for their earthquake stuff. And,
how weird of the timing is that?
That's always, if I worked for FEMA and I was a planner, I would plan it around conspiracy theories.
Just for fun.
Just to screw with them.
Just for fun.
Obviously that affects us too. So I would have fun with us. But you know, this does have a lot of striking, weird, crazy stuff. I mean, that is, you know, very odd. And, and I have to say, you know, I know going into 2012, December 21st, 2012, we interviewed so many people about that. Everybody we brought on our show back then, we would ask them, what do you think about 2012? You know, what do you think about and they had a variety of things. As it got closer, people, even the most staunch skeptic was, you know, locking their doors and stuff and loading their guns. I remember
just in case,
just like Y2K and
where people were stockpiling water and crap and
all this stuff. So I tell you, man, you want to go biblical with this, which this guy obviously is. I remember growing up in church, and I remember Jesus coming back like a thief in the night. And you know, I don't know your interpretation of thief in the night, but mine is you need to be ready and you need to live the best you can at all times, because you never know.
Right. I don't think that means that the Great Pyramid's going to tell you.
No, I really don't think the Great Pyramid figures into that scheme. So if you're going to use the Great Pyramid in conjunction with the Bible, I just don't know if that works exactly right, considering the predating of the other one.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know, so it is a cool event. It is crazy. I will say that 2012, I believed, ushered in a new dawn of spiritualism and of metaphysical understanding and of weirdness. Definitely weirdness.
Yeah. Lots of weirdness.
If you notice the things that have happened since then, mysterious humming noises, large sinkholes, raining in Antarctica, for the love of God, probably not a good thing, right?
Right.
There's been a lot of stuff and a lot more acceptance of things like UFO invasions, of, you know, of paranormal, of all this stuff. It's been more widely accepted. People talk about it now like it's a normal thing.
Right.
And I don't think people realize that. Plus the damned Mandela effect. You know,
gosh,
it seems like that's all something, you know, in the last few years. And I talk about all the time on the show. When we were kids, you didn't hear about giant fireballs in the sky. I mean, maybe every now and then.
Mysterious humming noises. And
it's been a weird decade.
It has. I agree.
You know, there's been a lot of high strangeness. So this is, I don't want to completely poo-poo this. I love the fact that you put all that work into it.
Well, you know, and I feel like, you know, this particular conspiracy theory with the numerology, it doesn't seem like they're having to stretch it too hard.
No.
Like sometimes you got to take a theory and you got to stretch it to fit the particular situation.
I'm worried more about Mothman.
Right. Me too.
To be honest with you.
Yeah.
I worry more about that kind of signs and omens than I do about somebody, you know, pointing to put a bunch of numbers together. But, you know, still, it's been weird. And I don't think that it's going to be anything other than a really cool eclipse that, you know, is affecting people. But I do say that I do think that coming with the eclipse would be hopefully this new, you know, maybe there's a good thing. Maybe it's astronomical, you know, maybe it's a good thing for the cosmos and positivity.
Kind of like you were talking about the 2012 or whichever one. There was one where people were like, oh, end of the world, but actually it was a positive shift. It was just a good, maybe they're just reading the signs wrong. Maybe there are signs.
Everybody always wants to go
gloom and doom.
And you know what? Gloom and doom sells. And since the dawning of people, there has been the end is nigh guy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
there's always that guy that is so worried about the end that he can't enjoy the now.
Exactly.
I choose to enjoy the now, and the end is going to happen. There's nothing that can stop us from ending. There's nothing that can stop that from ending eventually. So just enjoy yourself, people. Subscribe to the show and tell your friends about it and that kind of good stuff. We'll be hopefully crossing our fingers that day that we're wrong, but
That's right.
really highly doubt we are. So,
well, that's all the news.
And thank you. All right. Well, that's a good one to end on. It's a nice little gloomy story but it's not exactly, I don't think we had a good positive one except for the Epic of Gilgamesh guy. But hey, it is what it is, right? Sometimes it's like that. A lot of cool stories. And I don't know. I really don't know. I do know that we're going to be hunting for aliens and Bigfoot this week.
Yes.
Hopefully people will be able to see that when they go to our vlog and subscribe on our channel on youtube.com/paranormal sideshow. But, even if they don't want to go through that trouble, a good way to get there would be to go to ParanormalSideshow.com. That's your place to go find out everything vloggy. Facebook.com/Paranormal Sideshow. We talk a little vlog on there. On the Twitter, it's at Sideshow97. On Instagram, it's John and Hot Gilgamesh, Stacey Dam Edwards. On YouTube, like I said, there's a vlog. You need to watch it. It's funny and it's informational. It's not really informational, but it's more funny than anything. But you get to
see our pretty faces.
Yeah, I do apologize about that. That's Paranormal Sideshow on YouTube. Just subscribe. And if you listen to us on iTunes, if you listen to us on Google Play, on iHeartRadio, on Stitcher, wherever you may listen to us, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, that love button, rate us a 5 or a 5,000, whatever you can. Tell your friends about us. This is just a big party we're having every week. Our subscribers are going up. We love that. We do this out of love and we enjoy every second of it. And I think you're going to enjoy the vlog. So hit the subscribe